Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Today I'm gonna read Charlotte's Web, chapter 1, Before Breakfast. Where's Papa going with that axe? Said Fern to her mother as they were setting the table for breakfast. Out to the hog house, replied Mrs. Arable. Some pigs were born last night. I don't see why he needs an axe, continued Fern, who was only 8. Well, said her mother, one of the pigs is a runt. It's very small and weak, and it will never amount to anything. So your father has decided to do away with it. Do away with it? Shrank Fern. You mean kill it? Just it's smaller than the others? Mrs. Arable put a pinch of cream on the table. Don't yell, Fern, she said. Your father is right. The pig would probably die anyway. Fern pushed a chair out of the way and ran outdoor. The grass was wet and the earth smelled springtime. Fern's sneakers were soaked by the time she caught up with her father. Please don't kill it, she scoffed. It's unfair. Mr. Arable stopped walking. Fern, he said gently, you'll have to learn to control yourself. Control myself? Yelled Fern. This is a matter of life and death. And you talk about controlling myself? Tears ran down her cheek, and she took hold of the axe and tried to pull it out of her father's hand. Fern, said Mr. Arable, I know more about raising a little of pig than you do. A weakling makes trouble. Now, run along. But it's unfair, cried Fern. The pig couldn't help being born small, could it? If I have been very small at birth, would you have killed me? Mr. Arable smiled. No, he said, looking down at his daughter with love. But this is different. A little pig and one thing, and a little girl and one thing is one thing, and a little runty pig is another thing. I see no difference, replied Fern, still hanging on the axe. This is the most terrible case of injunction I ever had heard of it. A curious look came over John Arable's face. He screamed, almost ready to cry himself. All right, he said. You go back to the house and I'll bring the runt pig when I come in. I'll let you raise it on a bottle like a baby. Then you'll see what trouble a pig can be. When Mr. Arable returned to the house an hour later, he carried and carton under his arm. Fern was upstairs changing her sneakers. The kitchen table was set for breakfast, and the room smelled of coffee, bacon, damp plaster, and the wood smoke from the stove. Put it on her chair, said Mrs. Arable. Mr. Arable set the cotton down at Fern's place. Then he walked to the sink and washed his hands and dried them on the roll towel. Fern came slowly downstairs. Her eyes were red from crying. As she approached her chair, the carton wobbled. And there was a scratching noise. Fern looked at her father. Then she lifted the lid of the carton. There inside, looking up at her, was a newborn pig. It was in a white one. It was a white one. The morning light shone through its ears, turning them pink. "He's yours," said Mr. Arable, saved from an unlimited death. "You and may the God forgive me for this foolishness." Fern couldn't take her eyes off the tiny pig. "Oh," she whispered. "Oh, look at him. He's absolutely perfect." She closed the cartoon carefully. First she kissed her father, and then she kissed her mother, and then she opened the lid again, lifting the pig out, and held it against her cheek. At this moment, her brother Avery came into the room. Avery was stunned. He was heavily armed in air, refilling in one hand, the wooden dagger on the other hand. "What's that?" he demanded. "What's Fern got?" "She got a guest for breakfast," said Mrs. Arable. "Wash your hands and face, Avery." "Let's see it," said Avery, setting his gun down. "You call that miserable thing a pig? That's a fine specimen of a pig. It's not bigger than a white rat." "Wash up and eat your breakfast, Avery," said his mother. "The school bus will be long in half an hour." Can I have the pig too?" Popped. "Can I have the pig too, Pop?" asked Avery. "No, I only distribute pig to early risers," said Mr. Arable. Fern was up at daylight trying to rid of the world of injustice. As a result, she now has a pig, a small one, to be sure, but nevertheless a pig. It just shows what can happen if a person gets out of a bed promptly. "Let's eat." But Fern couldn't eat until her pig had a drink of milk. Mrs. Arable found a baby nursing bottle in a rubber nipple. She poured warm milk into the bottle, filled the nip around the top, and had it to Fern. "Give him his breakfast," she said. A minute later, Fern was seated on the floor in the corner of the kitchen with her infant between her knees, teaching how to suck from a bottle. The pig, all through tiny, had a good appetite and caught on quick. The school bus honked from the road. "Run!" Miss Arable takes the pig from Fern and sipping a dough hut on her hand. Avery grabbed his gun, another donut, and another donut. The children ran out to the road and climbed onto the bus. Fern took on no notice from the other in the bus. She just sat and stared out the window, thinking what a blissful world it was and how lucky she was to have entire change of a pig. By the time the bus reached school, Fern had named her pet, selecting the most beautiful name she could think of. Its name was Wilbur. She whispered to herself. She was still thinking about the pig when the teacher said, "Fern, what is the capital of Pennsylvania?" "Wilbur," replied Fern dreamily. The pussers giggled. Fern blushed. And that's it. Chapter 1 is done. I'll come back to you with Chapter 2, Wilbur. Thank you. Bye. Subscribe to my channel, like my channel, share my channel. Bye.